So this is the Central Division now that we are getting into when it comes to the actual predictions for this upcoming season, where I think they will end up. I know I just showed you guys how they finished last year, and again, it's going to be tough to really kind of interchange this division. I'm a little torn on a few teams and where I think they will finish, but I think it's kind of easy for the first one. They didn't have a good year last year. I don't think they'll have a great year this year, but they will be a must-watch team, I think, for sure, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. I do have them finishing last in the division again, picking high next year, which I think will be more beneficial for them for the long haul than the short term. Obviously, the Connor Bedard effect will be in full force this upcoming season. I think it'll be extremely interesting to see how he does with the team around him. And taking a look here, let's see if we can find them really quickly. They still have $12 million worth of cap space. Taylor Hall, Tyler Johnson, Anthony Ciu, Foligno, Perry, Dickerson, Kurashev, Donato, Blackwell. I'm listing all these guys, and it's like maybe one superstar right there, Taylor Hall. Then you've got Connor Bedard on the back end. Jones, Zaitsev, Murphy, Tenorti, Roos, Phillips, and Kaiser. I can't really see his last name right there. And then between the pipes, Mrazek and Soderblom. Yeah. Not much to say other than really excited to see Connor Bedard and what he can do. Obviously, a lot of people have seen what he did in his first development camp game or whatever it was. Hat trick. Dude looks phenomenal. He'll make a huge impact on the community as well as the club for the Chicago Blackhawks moving forward. I think 50 to 60 points is super realistic this year, whether it's 40 goals and 20 assists or vice versa, 20 goals, 40 assists. I think it's definitely possible if he can stay healthy. I think that'll be the biggest question mark because he's not a big kid. He's in the NHL now. He's going to get tossed around a little bit. But hopefully those veterans around him can lead him in to the league in a good way, and that he doesn't get hurt because nobody wants that. So I have them finishing dead last like they did last year. Next up in the division, another tough one, but I think it is going to be another tough year for them. Again, they look good so far this preseason, but I think it's going to be the Arizona Coyotes. I just don't think they have enough still. It is definitely there. The future is bright. Logan Cooley is going to be fun to watch. Dylan Guenther is going to be fun to watch. You've got Kerfoot there in the desert. Keller, Schmaltz, they got to be the leaders. Jason Zucker, he's got that veteran presence about him now. On the back end, Dumba, Dursey, Brown, Stetcher. I think those will be their big key defensemen. And when you say that, it's like, okay, well, they don't have a superstar defenseman. You can argue Matt Dumba. I wouldn't say he's a superstar. I would say he's borderline, maybe elite. I think just below elite is where Matt Dumba sits right now. And then between the pipes, Ingram and Vejmelka. I was about to have a hard time saying that last name, but kind of remembered it off the top of my head. I think bright spots, Barrett Hayton, Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz. And Michelli, however you say his last name. Look out for those guys. Should be fun, but they're not going to be great this year. Moving on to my next pick. This is where things do start to get a little bit more different. I've got the Nashville Predators being sixth best in the division this year. I think it'll be a little bit more of a down year than last year. Going through changes throughout the entire club. Let me pull up their team also really quickly. I don't think there's enough there. They got rid of so many players. Yes, they brought in Ryan O'Reilly, and that's huge for them. He's going to be there for the next 4 years. But nobody really pops off the page when I see this team. Philip Forsberg still technically listed on IR. Who knows if he's going to be back for the regular season when it starts. Tomasino, I think, will be fun to watch. Maybe Cody Glass if he can continue to have a good year. Ryan O'Reilly, obviously. But I think the main noteworthy people, I should say, on this team are going to be Roman Josi and UC Saros. What type of years will they have? Depending on the years that they have, if they are healthy and they are good, I think that will be the driving force for how well this team does moving forward. If they're not buzzing on all cylinders, then the team's not going to be buzzing on all cylinders, and they could do worse than third best in the division. They could be worse than, let's say, the Coyotes. I don't think they'll be worse than the Blackhawks, but I don't see it for this team. They're still They have a ton of young prospects with potential, but I don't see them making a run for the playoffs at this point in time. On the back, and again, we're looking at it, Yossi, McDonough, Barry, Shen. All super old, all 32 years or older. Carrier, Fabro, Lazan. That's solid young defensive depth. But I don't think they'll be able to put it together this year. Mark them down 6th worst in the division. That is where I think they will finish. Moving on up the ladder, I think this team will also be taking a little bit of a step back this upcoming season. The Winnipeg Jets. I think there's just been a lot of turnover, a lot of change, and I don't see them being a top caliber team for this upcoming season. I think players of note: Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Ehlers, you've got Velarde coming over from the Kings, as well as Iafallo. Look out for them this upcoming season. They will be fun to watch. Cole Perfetti, keep an eye out on him. Morrissey and Pionk will be really fun to watch this year. And then Connor Hellebuck. I know he said he wants out of Winnipeg. Who knows if he will stay? Will he be traded by the deadline or before the deadline, depending on how well they'll be doing? I don't see them performing to the point where they make the playoffs this upcoming season. I just don't see it happening. Maybe Scheifele and Connor put them on their backs and take them to the playoffs, almost like the Florida Panthers last year. But they're not going to have 95 points. I'm looking at it to my right. I think they'll be around where the Blues were last year, 81 to 85. I think that's a more realistic spot for the Winnipeg Jets, who I have finishing the division in 5th position. Now moving forward, getting to my next team as I'm looking at my screen and looking at my prediction as well. It's a tough one. It's a toss-up, but I think I'm going to go with the St. Louis Blues. I think they might squeak into the playoffs somehow, some way. I have a sneaking suspicion that it will happen. Now, there's still a lot of question marks with their back end in this team, and can they get it figured out with Falk, Krug, Parenko? Can that get worked out? I hope so. I mean, Krug, very elite defenseman. Again, they're a little bit older, 31, 32, 30 years old, which is still not too super old. But on the front end, I think this is where the depth comes into play. You got Kyrou, Robert Thomas, new captain Braden Shen. I think 3 solid guys right there. 1 an technical all-star. Then you've got Buchnevich, Saad Hayes, Kevin Hayes coming over from the Philadelphia Flyers. I think he's going to be a huge addition. And then I'll be really intrigued to see Kapanen and Verana, how they can do. If Verana can have his form like he did with the Washington Capitals those last couple of years with them, man, look out. That will be a huge add for them. Jake Neighbors, I think, will be an interesting one as well. Oscar Sundqvist, Sammy Blaze. Again, they are super deep up front, and I do expect them to have a big year. Jordan Bennington, I think, is a big question mark. Can he put it together and have a solid full NHL season? I know he's a little bit of a head case, but we'll see if he can put it together for a full season, and I think he will, and I think it will be good enough for them to sneak into the playoffs and get it done this upcoming season with maybe having a solid first round. But that's about it, I think, for them. Moving on with my predictions, just taking a look, we've got 3 teams left in the West, and this is where it gets tough. Who do you have in that 2-3 spot is going to be the intriguing one here. It's tough for me. Do I think that they can have another solid season? Yes, but I think they will be in that 3rd spot again, and that is the Minnesota Wild. It really depends on their health. Can they stay healthy to make a push for the playoffs? Again, this team rides or dies on Kirill Kaprizov. That dude is absolutely electric. If he can do it again next year, I fully expect him, or do it again this upcoming season and have a solid year. Stay healthy. Look out for this team. Boldy, Zuccarello, Eriksson Ek. You've got a bunch of other guys on their team. Marco Rossi, will he make the team play full year? Spurgeon, Brodin, Middleton, and then between the pipes, I think a very intriguing tandem with Gustafsson and Marc-Andre Fleury. Does Fleury stay there the whole year, or does he get traded? I think that'll be a big question mark, but I do have them getting into the playoffs in that 2nd seed. As well as then I have them playing the Dallas Stars once again in the playoffs. But this Dallas Stars team, don't get it twisted. They are a very good hockey team, but I think they will go as far as their top players will take them. And when I say top players, I'm referring to Rupe Hintz, Jason Robinson, Joe Pavelski, They brought in Matt Duchene, which I'll be intrigued to see what he can do alongside Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn. Can they make a push for a cup? Who knows? Wyatt Johnston, I know he had a very solid playoff last year and a good year overall. That's going to be fun to watch. Heiskanen, Lindell, Sutter, Hakanpää. You've got a very interesting back end. Can they stay healthy? Can they play good D-zone? That's going to be the big question mark. I think it'll be good enough to be second in the division like it was last year. And then between the pipes, you've got Ottinger and Wedgwood. I think if the Otter, Ottinger, has another solid year, look out for these Dallas Stars because you know they have the firepower up front to get the puck in the back of the net. That's my second team, and that leads me to the final team in the Western Conference, who I also think will win the Western Conference, and that is the Colorado Avalanche. I'm very high on the Avalanche. Let's pull up their team here right now. They definitely have a big hit. It was announced the other day or a week ago. Gabriel Landeskog gonna be out for pretty much the entire season, which is a killer. But even missing him, they are still so elite. They're so deep. You got McKinnon, Rantanen, Natushkin, Lehkonen. They brought in Ryan Johansson, more depth at the center position to kind of fill in for Landeskog being out. Ross Colton bringing him in from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Miles Wood bringing him in. Thomas Tatar, Logan O'Connor. You got Cogliano, Jonathan Drouin. Are they going to play him with Nathan McKinnon? That'll be really interesting. Former junior teammates and line mates back in the day. And then on the back end, you've got Makar, Gerard, Manson, Taves, Byron, McDermott, and Jack Johnson. Between the pipes, I think, is still their biggest question mark. And that is Georgiev and Francois. They have proven that they are a decent tandem. But, man, this team is just so deep. I don't see how they don't win their division. They're going to win their division. There's no way they don't not win the division. I think the biggest question mark, will they win the Western Conference between, let's say, them, Golden Knights, and the Edmonton Oilers? I would honestly lean Colorado. They've got the experience having done so. They've won a cup recently. They've got that fire in their belly that they want to do it again. Look out for the Colorado Avalanche because I think they will get it done and win the West and win their division. So that's my breakdown on the Western Conference and specifically the Central Division. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that one.